Hi everyone and welcome back to ACER Explained. I'm going through section 3 of the ACER Practice Question booklet, and in this video we're going through Unit 11. So Unit 11 has questions 26 to 28. Same as before, prereq knowledge, reasoning skills, and bootcamp resources. I will go through all of those things as well. So Unit 11 gives us some information on magnetic resonance imaging and on NMR, which is nuclear magnetic resonance, which you might recognize from chemistry. Even if you don't recognize it, that's okay because the stimulus does tell us that atoms that exhibit NMR include those that have odd mass numbers, so here, or they have even mass numbers and odd atomic numbers. So just revising our chemistry here. So the mass number is typically the one that's up top here, and the atomic number is the one that's down the bottom here. And so question 26 is asking us, which of the following exhibit NMR? So is it just is it just this hydrogen? Is it these isotopes only, or all three isotopes? So you have to kind of know that the atomic number for hydrogen is 1. That's the first element, so it should be pretty basic. That's the kind of base understanding that the GAMSAT would expect. So you have an odd atomic number, and what does that tell you, right? So if you have odd mass numbers, so this is even, this is odd, this is even, etc. If you have odd mass numbers, then you're going to get NMR, right? If you have even mass numbers, you might get NMR if you have an odd atomic number, which you do. So it doesn't really matter in this case whether or not the mass numbers are odd or even, because the fact that you have an odd atomic number means that it's always going to exhibit NMR. So then the answer is D. For this question, you need to know the basics about the atom, so mass number, atomic number, and it's helpful to know the basic elements that are on the periodic table as well, like just the basic ones that are used often. For example, hydrogen, you should know that the atomic number is 1, for example. And so you can find this in content in action, atoms, and bonding. And then you're also using the process of elimination here, as well as extracting the important information. And so that's something that you can find in the reasoning skills course. Question 27 is pretty similar. It's asking which of the following has every single atom that's listed showing NMR or exhibiting NMR. So you know that helium is second in the periodic table. And so that's an even atomic number. It also has an even mass number. So this one does not show NMR, so we can eliminate A. Okay. Now this one has an odd mass number, so that means it's going to exhibit NMR. This one has even. Okay, so then we have to kind of think about whether or not nitrogen is has an even or odd atomic number. Okay. Then we have these here. We have 6, which is even for lithium. So we have, this is the kind of order of the periodic table, the first few. So we have lithium has an odd atomic number. So we can't be sure about, well, this one does show NMR. Then we have this odd number, so this does show NMR. Then we have 18 for oxygen. And oxygen, we know that it's 16. That's a pretty common one that we should know. So 16, this means that this one does not show NMR. So we can eliminate option C. Then we have 10, this is even. So does it have an odd atomic number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It does. So this does show NMR. We have even, and then carbon is 12. Sorry, carbon is 6, as shown here. So this is even and even, which means that it doesn't show NMR. And so this is the correct option here. So in terms of like the other atoms, even if you didn't know the atomic number of nitrogen, you can use the process of elimination using kind of the pretty common ones that we already know, like carbon and oxygen, to get to the correct answer there. And so nitrogen, the atomic number for that one is 7. So that is odd. And so this does show NMR. And then these two are trickier, but because you've eliminated the other options, you don't need to go through these because that would be too hard. And there's no point really memorizing the entire periodic table for the GAMSAT. That's not going to be very high yield for you. So yeah, you can still get the answer B from the process of elimination. So yeah, same as before, chemistry is helpful, especially the structure of the atom, and just being familiar with the different common molecules or elements that you come across just with chemistry practice. And then the process of elimination is super important here as well. And so yeah, we have the same resources as the previous question for this one. So question 8 is asking us about the number of neutrons in the nucleus of an atom where NMR occurs. So we know that this particular atom needs to either have an odd mass number or it needs to have an even mass number plus an odd atomic number. Now, where do neutrons come in? Neutrons come into the mass number, okay? Where did my pen go? Mass number, which is this part. And then we have the atom number or atomic number. Okay, so the mass number is the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. And then the atomic number is essentially the number of protons. Okay, so you can have mass numbers that are odd or even, depending on the atomic number. So with atoms that express or exhibit NMR, you can have either odd or even mass numbers as long as you also have an odd atomic number as well. So you can't really say for sure that your number of neutrons is going to be either odd or even. Okay, so let's move on to C. Is the number of neutrons odd if the number of protons is even? Okay, so if the number of protons is even, that means the atomic number. So for this, atomic number is even. Okay, and so if your atomic number is even, or your number of protons is even, the only way that this particular atom can exhibit NMR is if the mass number is odd. And how are you going to get a mass number that's odd if your number of protons is even? You need an odd number of neutrons because even plus odd is odd, right? So the number of neutrons must be odd if the number of protons is even. That makes sense. So using the same reasoning here, this is wrong because if you have even plus even, you would get even. And that would lead you with an even mass number and an even atomic number. And so this would not express or not exhibit an MR. So over here, your mass number would be odd. And so that's why C is the correct option. Same thing as before here. the process of elimination is really handy with this one. And it also required a bit of knowledge regarding neutrons and protons and how they kind of come together in terms of the mass number and the atomic number. So that's your basic chemistry that I would recommend brushing up on. It will be in the content in action, atoms and bonding, if you want to find that on the bootcamp. That's it for Unit 11. So, as always, like, share, and subscribe for some more GAMSAT help. We love, love, love the feedback. And our Instagram is at ThankFlipGAMSAT. And we have our podcast as well, ThankFlipGAMSAT, Nurses Doing GAMSAT, if you want to hear more from us. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.